if you're someone that's interested in designing and building with no-code tools, um, Manuel is your guy, and it's happening at Ruby Hall, where you're coming from. So I'm going to summarize this hall, and open source is happening here. You want research, all that good stuff. Evie is your babe, and we have a volunteer outside that will direct you. Lastly, you want to learn on building with no code. That is manual. You go upstairs. Please, did I communicate? Okay. Is everybody going to Evie? Please stay for open source. Open source is actually very important in design. No code design is upstairs. No code tools practical session is happening upstairs. We have open source happening right in this hall. Please always remember that the small halls are small. So if everybody's going there, you have to stand 3. No code design, designing and building in no code. Then this one is open source. Then the other one. Third one is research. Methodology, research, all those UX stuff. Please remember that there is no space where you're going to. You might as well grab a seat here and enjoy open source. She is gifted, she has a lot of resources for you, and she's well prepared. So if you want to know what open source is, you can just move forward, and get ready. If you're interested in UX, Amber, please, there's space in front. Please come forward. Please break your click, come forward, break your click, come forward, break your click, come forward, break your click. Come forward. Over to you, Victory.
Hi. Good accesses from every part of the world. They can use it, modify it, train with it, and all of those other things that come along with free things. This is the one free thing that does not purge, but it opens doors to different people. And we're familiar with what security is, if you build yourself, protecting your materials, or just for safety, right? But the thing about it can be hacked. It can be manipulated by people who we do not want touching our codes, right? So I will try as much as I can to make this a practical session. We're supposed to have an hour, 30 minutes, but I don't think that will be it. So I'm going to rush through or whatever. But in your own opinion, who do you think should bring up the topic of security when building softwares? Everybody. Someone said the owner. Yes, the owner should actually have it in mind. But I feel like it's the work of everybody. If the designer does not bring it up, the developer should talk about it. If the developer does not talk about it, the owner should have it in his or her design brief. What does OSS security mean for users? Please, next slide here. For users of OSS, any software that considers and safeguards their online activity should be secure. And like I said before, the only thing you have is your GitHub account and the 2FA, two-factor authentication code. But most times, it doesn't always work like that, right? Sometimes you would receive an email that someone is trying to get into your GitHub account, your GitHub account needs access to this and that. And there are certain times you may want to use a certain website and they don't ask you for any question. They just link up your GitHub to whatever platform it is, and there's usually security breach. Now, I'm saying this from experience because last year, some files that I had from an open source organization was actually, I'm going to talk to you about how we're able to fix that. So who are the users of OSS? Sorry, I'm trying to be very fast so that we can get to practicals. Users of OSS. Users of OSS are anybody that uses open source tools. Anybody. It can be you that is building it, someone who is maintaining it, someone who comes and drops a comment like, oh, I tried to use this, but it didn't work, and whatnot. So that's basically what it is. Why is security important? Security is important because attackers can target any software at all and steal anything. We try to act as if technology is improving and, oh Lord, we know how to go about it. But the truth of the matter is, every day we learn a new software, we learn about a new software, how to build it, how to protect it. Hackers are learning on how to scam people from that software, how to break into that software. So yeah, a malware attack can cause extreme damage, damages to anything, to your laptop itself, to the source code, to the platform. If it's something that has been built already, it can cause havoc to it. So we try not to do that. So what do you consider when you're designing security into open source? First off is the two-factor authentication. We have that for WhatsApp, we have it for IG, we have it for Instagram, we have it for a lot of softwares. But how reliable is it? We don't know. We don't know the extent to which it is reliable. Another thing that you consider when you're designing for open source, because it is free and because everybody has access to it, is ethical design principles. So when you talk about ethical design principles, talk about inclusion, accessibility, you're thinking of people that are using this tool who have disabilities, people who their internet bandwidth may not be able to carry this software, people who maybe the speed of their internet may not be able to download this as fast. Their laptop may not be able to carry the code because it is heavy. I know that when I was trying to learn how to use Blender, and I downloaded it into a laptop that was small in size or whatever, and then it crashed. So you see that it was not built for that particular tool. And what we try to do with open source is that we build softwares that is accessible. Everybody can get it because we are designing for the next billion users. The next thing is conducting user testings frequently, and that's something that a lot of open source projects don't do. And when we talk about contributing to open source, people are always asking, how can I contribute to open source as a designer? Like I said, I talk a lot about open source, and I get tired of repeating the same thing over and over again, but it's part of being a talkative. One of the ways you can do that, developers and all of that, and if we leave this work to developers, trust me, they're going to build and build us to the ground, right? Like, they don't consider experiences. I'm sorry if you're a developer here, I'm apologizing in advance. They don't consider experiences. Does it work? Yes, ship it. That's how most developers think. But as for design, education is we educating developers on the importance of building this, the impacts of which the project is getting to. Think about end user impact and vulnerabilities rather than the technical implications. Like I said, developers are so technical focused that they don't think about these things. And then clarity. When you are educating and when you're talking, be clear. Let them know what you're talking about. Let them know how they can fix these issues and everything that goes on with it. And then security are important to child usage or children using the software, right? So that's I can write on this, right? Do I really need to use the mic? I think my voice is loud enough. Hi. If someone has seen it, please just read it out to everybody. That's what they said there. Oh, on the website. That's all about Sophia. Just read about. Yeah. Open source projects are open, so everybody can use it. But there's a limit to which we can control when we have access to software. Maintainers and contributors are largely responsible for a project's success. Maintainers are people who maintain the source code. You make a pull request, we check if you made correct changes, and then you commit to it, and all of those things go. Responsible for a project success. Contributors are people like us that use and recommend this project or test it. Or even sometimes people forget that contribute to open source means I use this software and I found out that there's something wrong with it and I did a complaint. That complaint that you left is called an issue. It's like opening an issue on the repository of the project. creating a user-friendly template for reporting privacy violations open source. The next thing is design a tool that enables users to access a project's degree of privacy. Now this is more intense, and I don't know if we'll be able to do that today, but I'm sure that if we create the template and we have those things done for that. Now, one of the things that we have, this tool or this template should be able to notify project owners and users on the levels to which their privacy of their software has been breached. Recently, then copy the code. By copying the repository, the code comes to your own branch. But sometimes people find a way, scammers find a way to just copy the source code direct and build the exact thing. I see every day on design Twitter, someone is dragging someone for copying their design. They will use the excuse of feeling like an artist and just steal everything that you have done. So I'm sure that's what Kurt is going through. So what I want, and he loves to contribute to open source. He loves it. He's happy to build products that people can use. Feedback has helped him to grow over the years, and he wants to make 1,000 commits every month on GitHub. He's a nerd, so he really will just, as far as there's an issue to fix, he's going to fix it. And if there's anything that you're familiar with, is that there are more developer issues than there are designer issues to fix, right? So what are his frustrations? He contributes to more than one free and open source software. And remember, because he contributes to a lot of open source, I want you to picture this because we are designing solutions. Because he contributes to more than one software, right? He has a lot of branches from fucking different repositories. Get that? Now, he struggles to keep up with project demands because he's impulsive. He just wants to fix issues. He just wants to contribute to open source. He's not interested in community building. He's not attending community meetings. All he wants to do is write codes. He has no power over how his code is being used or interpreted. He works for free, right? So it's not like he can tell his manager, please, I don't want these people to use my code. All you're doing is building, so other people are going to use it. And since you say you're happy to build products that people can use, that shouldn't be an issue, right? Let's move to the next person. Novaini. Novaini is an undergraduate, remote, Asian, behavior, strategic, fast thinker, contributor, extrovert. Actually, she is an undergraduate and she's looking to volunteer during school breaks because she's a computer science student, so she wants to get a lot of experience before she goes back to school. Now, because she's an undergrad, she has pile-up school debts that she's owing and stuff, but she needs experience, right? Paid or unpaid. So either ways, she needs experience so that she can get a job and so that she can continue her education or maybe do some other thing. She uses FOSS, free open source software. Now, open source software and free open source software are the same. But when it is free, it means it is completely free. If it is just open source software, there's a likelihood that they run two licensing, which is the free one and then the paid one, right? So that's why you have some softwares that they are free, but then they get subscription. They are open source, but there's a part you get to that you have to pay for. It's because they are running dual licensing. Then next thing is she enjoys learning and providing feedback on things that she has learned, which means Novaini talks. She talks about things she likes, things she does not like. She gives feedback, she does user testing, and she will talk about it all the time. She's interested in software, but she cannot code. So because she cannot code, she cannot read codes as well. So let's put that in mind. Her frustrations, accessibility issues, it could be because of the internet speed, it could be because she does not have money to buy software that she needs for what she wants to do. She cannot describe their reservations concerning projects because they do not understand technical terms. Because it is a largely developer-centered world, there are a lot of technical jargons that are being flown about, even in documentation that is supposed to be easy. There are a lot of technical things that you have to go back to Google and check. So Novaini doesn't have time for that, right? As she doesn't understand. She likes to learn, but it's technical. She has to learn how to code, at least, to be able to understand most of these things. But we don't want that for her, because that's not what she wants to do. Fear of downloading FOSS for fear of compromising their information, as well as installing bugged software. It happens a lot of times. We talk about it when we have our sustained meetings, because it happens a lot. So these are the two people we are going to be designing for. So design objective. A small group has been asked, a medium-sized group has been asked to work together and design a new tool or process to help collect feedback, data from developers, designers, and end users of free, liberal, and open source software to address privacy issues. Your objectives are to work together to design a concept to resolve the problem of privacy violations for open source projects and contributors. It could be a new tool or template. So we decided on templates. So a template is basically something that they can use to report this issue. So what's going to be the header? What are going to be the questions that they need to fill in to know that, okay, this is a privacy issue, right? So we're going to be doing that. What kind of features, if we're going to build a tool, what kind of features should these tools have? And then we're going to create a template out of the questions and the features. So first off, here are some elements you need to consider incorporating into your pitch. As a team, we'll create a written design pitch that illustrates the design concept and explains any relevant details and decisions. If you've heard me talk about open source before, I've talked about software design documentation. So that's basically what we are doing, and that's what I do for Linux Foundation. So we're going to be doing a software design documentation that is going to be in the form of a template that they can use to build a tool. Are we getting? We're going to be designing a software design documentation. We're going to be creating a software design documentation. A software design documentation is going to have what the product is about, the title, what the problem statement is, why we are conducting this research, areas of focus, who our focus is on, features that should be added, features that we have tested that are right or wrong, and how to implement it. Now we're going to use that documentation to create a template. The template now is going to just show how users can report issues. Let's say, for instance, you signed into something, and after a while you received an email that they've collected money from your Access Bank account, and you are flaring up. Now you reach out to customer care. What are you going to tell customer care? Hi, my name is this, with my account number this and that. I have just received a debit of this, and I did not do this, but this is that. So that's the templates we're going to be creating. Does that make sense? Is that clearer now? Okay. So usually when I did this online, we did it in teams. Like, we had groups. So the groups each worked on their different problem statements. But I don't know if that's going to be possible here. So how do we decide to do it? Let's talk. How should we do it? Or would you just want to write down from everything we've talked about, the problem that we're about to solve? You come up with your problem statement and your notes. Or you want me to do it? If I do it, it's not a workshop again now. If I do it, it's not a workshop again. Just now. Is your time correct? Okay, so we have very, very few minutes. Let's do this. But I want us to do the problem statement together. So what's the problem statement? What does the problem statement have? I want us to do it because I will create a repository and share. And we are going to make a pull request to that repository. So let's do this. Problem statement. Designers. You don't like problem statements? People are breaking my heart now. Please, please, I'm begging. Yes. Yeah, I know what it is. I'm just saying that from what we've talked about, the issue of privacy in open source and what we are trying to do with Opia. You get? So let's come up with a problem statement for that. Yes, yes. Like, you know, when you're trying to fix an issue, you've created case studies before for your Behance, your Dribble, yeah. So problem statement, what are we trying to solve? What are we trying to solve? The issue of privacy, right? Security breaches and all. So we're supposed to come up with a problem statement. But you people are delaying me. And I have small time left. If this was secondary school, I'll be pointing people like this. Just be saying, you. Because I know you people know this thing. You know it. And this is us. Let's talk now, please. I don't want to do it because I've done it I can come up with like 50 problems. The template is supposed to help you report an issue. Yes. 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 Contributors are end users as well. Because as I'm contributing, right? I can contribute in different ways. I can contribute by using that software. Doesn't that make me a user? For the back end. Okay, so it depends. Breach. Hi, email breach. or you can put it anyhow you put it, but the key issue should be in the question. The next thing, should we finish the questions before we get to the feature, or we should do them? Let's finish. Okay, so what other question again? Because we're going to create a template. Even if we don't do it now, do it and send it to Untitled Design, send through your email. So, nature of the issue. Nature. So, what is differentiating the nature from the title is that the nature has more information than the title. Nature. So this will be on the 21st of blah, 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 blah. I did this and that, right? But we don't want it to be too full. So we'll just leave it. Nature should be when it occurred. When it occurred. What was lost? What other thing should be there? Thank you. Yes, attachments. So what type of data? How is that different from the title? Data type. Because I mentioned two types of data that can be stolen, right? I did that. So you can mention what kind of, it helps the maintainers to sort out the, oh yeah, they can say, so if I complain about my email breach, I can say personal credential, personal information, like it's personal to me. So I can put that there. We can also add labels, emergency, important, right? Now this can help you pick out any open source project and scan it. Like when I mean scan it, you can just mention all of these ones that we've mentioned, OPR, Linux Foundation, Public Health. You can find a project and download, look at how it works, check out their cookies, what's accepted, and then write a review on it. That's also contributing to open source. Most of these projects will publish it on their platform, trust me. And you can also send it to the Open Source Design Core and we'll publish it as well. So we have labels. Any other thing that we're adding to that? Well, it doesn't have to be too long because we just want them to drop a question, want them to drop their time. Hi, how many minutes more? Okay, so we just want them to drop their time. Now, if we are building a tool, now when I did this online, what the tool was supposed to be was, oh, what's the word? There's this thing that the extension, we're supposed to build an extension that can be added to a Chrome browser, right? We were online, we had about 2 hours to work on that. It was supposed to be an extension that could be added to a Chrome browser so that if you're using something, if you're using the software, all you have to do is turn on the extension and it reads the entire website. So are you picturing what it's supposed to look like? So that's actually what we're supposed to be designing, right? So you can do that on your own because I have limited time, but I just want us to get started on that. So one of the things that we decided to add to the feature was also labels, because labels help you to sort out things easily. Because if you just put in the issue, I cannot start looking for issue number 10, issue number 9, or whatever. All I have to do is filter and select the particular label, and then all the issues on that one can come out. I can also do issues based on dates, but it could clash, right? So the easiest way for me is labels to find out what particular project, what particular issue of privacy I'm going to be fixing. After labels, what next? Well, if you're designing a tool, an extension from what I just talked about, what would be those features or tools that you look out for as a designer and as a user? What? Drop zone. So let's just call it Dropbox or. You need what? Yes, so we need an interface that shows a form. So the form will necessarily not have these questions, but it could still have this question. Remember what I said, that we are creating a template that can be used to create a tool, right? So we're actually in line with what we're saying. So we need a form. Another thing that we need to consider is the issue of accessibility. Accessibility is a very important aspect of design. It's a very aspect of design. So I have two more things to just add before I round up. It's a very, very important aspect of design, and I urge us as designers, please look into accessibility. Accessibility in terms of people with disabilities, people with language diversity, people with other disabilities range from from physical to mental and all of that. So let's think about that. For me, I have issues with colors. I can't see. I was telling my friend, I almost fell down from the staircase because I saw the stairs as just one color, and I almost missed a step. So I'm not very good. My eyes, no, I don't know if it's color blind, but I can tell colors, but I just somehow miss it. So I think there should be a place for people to pick their languages. So we're thinking of a menu bar that has language, change your whatever, colors and all of that. So definitely you should have a menu bar with color, language, etc. Now the most important thing is that this tool should be able to scan that page. So I should be able to copy the link. If I'm not able to turn on the extension directly on the website, I should be able to copy the link and paste there, and it scans. I don't know how many people are into SEO stuff. There's this SEO browser, I really can't remember the name now, that you just copy the link and then you paste it there and it scans everything. It even brings out your competition, what your competition is good at, etc. So that's what we are trying to do today. Now from this, we have been able to make it easy for a new user in open source to contribute by reporting an issue. Reporting an issue is a way of contributing to open source. You create an issue and report. I was using this and I had this. Is a way of contributing to open source. By starring a project, giving a project a star, you have contributed to open source. By funding a project, let's say you don't want to design, but you want to give cash. By funding a project, you have contributed to open source. By being here, you have also contributed to open source. So now that we have this, you can take home the talk. I don't know how to send it over to you people, to be honest. I don't know if I should make a tweet with the link or something. But yeah, you can go home and work on it, try to improve on it. Because I have limited time, I am not able to break it down fully. But I know that I have given you some foundation to work with, right? I have? Thank God. So we can start up with this. You can write an article. You can pick another project. It doesn't have to be up here. You can pick another project and do a deep dive on. You can also complete this one and write an article about it. By writing an article, you have contributed to open source. And also making sure that the article is not just any article, it is a review, more like a software design review on this project. User testing on this project. User privacy, what research on this particular project. Am I communicating? So do we have any question? Because I think my time is up. Yes, please. I should do or I should look for? Okay, so you may not necessarily see it as this. If you check on any user privacy, it will be the one I did. Yeah, I think there are two of it I've done. One with Bristol Tech Fest, the UK Bristol Tech Fest, and one with Design Matters DK. So probably on their YouTube you would see that. You're still looking at me like you're unsure. But yeah, you can see that. But then what you can do is you can also like Google user privacy in open source, right? Now there are very limited resources because not very much people pay attention into privacy. We have very few projects that are sorry, sometimes when I want to talk, I now forget projects that I want to talk about. Not necessary privacy. Open source contribution as a whole. So yeah, you can check on YouTube. Just do open source design. So or you can follow Ariel Fox, me, Abhishek. Abhishek, I've forgotten his surname, sorry. But Abhishek is another open source designer that will be. And then we also have another workshop for Oscar Fest on open source design. Ariel Fox will be coming over. So we'll do something similar, not this. So you can attend that. There'll be more open source projects or workshop like that. So any other question? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Open source is building anything that is free. People can access. Yeah. So what will make it more open source is if you publish it on our blog, open source design blog. So if you write it, you can make a pull request to our repository as a blog, and then they will add it and credit you for it. Right. So if you need any help with that, just let me know. Any other question, please? My time is all. All right. So in the absence of any upstairs, so in the absence of any, thank you all for coming today. My name is Victory Brown, and I was happy to have done this with you all. So let's go upstairs, right?